Hello and welcome back to Art in Isolation on this blustery January day. But for a change, I'm now going to give you a love story in paint. So I'm about to enter the guest room, and we have here on the wall a painting that, well, it's partly designed to make the guest reflect and think. And actually, the more you look into it, the more I believe it does just that. So this painting is entitled Daphnis and Chloe, and on the left is Daphnis, on the right is Chloe. And it goes back to the 2nd century, to a story related by the Greek poet Longus on the island of Lesbos, in which they meet, this couple, and they fall in love. She is then taken away by pirates. All appears to be lost until the god Pan, a wonderful god with cloven feet, a god of shepherds and also the wild, then intervenes and brings them back together. And as far as I can tell, they then live happily ever after. Now, the artist of this painting, which I happen to really like, is called Gerald Leslie Brockhurst. And he's interesting for a number of reasons. I love his characterizations, and I'll come to those in a moment. But he's painting this really early on in his career, around about 1914. And what is interesting about it is he's not just being influenced, I suspect, by the poet Longus, but by a ballet by Ravel that was going on at the period, that was being shown in Paris. And he was traveling there, or certainly in France and Italy, at around about this time. And it's quite likely that he saw it and the wonderful sets that were created for it. I want you just to listen to a little bit of Ravel's music. Look at the picture. See if you can drink in the two, as I suspect Brockhurst had. And I think listening to that music, one can see an almost balletic gesture in the arm of Daphnis. But what possibly won't be lost upon you is the rather intense, beautifully modulated light and character of the landscape and the figures. And that's because Gerald Leslie Brockhurst won a scholarship from the Royal Academy schools to travel in Italy and France, and became utterly swept away by artists like Bellini, Leonardo da Vinci, Piero della Francesca, and all of them came bearing down upon his art and never really left him. And I think you see that particularly in the light, the sort of soft evening light, and the way that the eye recedes into the distance with that sort of glorious Renaissance Tuscan-looking landscape. But there's also another aspect which takes you right back 600 or 700 years, and that is the medium. This is not oil painting, this is tempera, that is paint mixed with egg yolk. And it gives this rather glorious, which I can see, and I want you to try and see as well, this rather sort of glorious eggshell finish, smoothness, feeling of antiquity. And if I use my torch, if you look very carefully into the bodies, you see that on top of the tempera, this rather sort of porcelaneous finish, he's done some tiny little cross-hatching that beautifully models the bodies. It's a work of such delicacy the more you look into it. What is also quite interesting to note about Gerald Leslie Brockhurst is that having been marinated in all of this Italian beauty, it never left him. Later on in his career, he went abroad to live in America, and there he met high society, major Hollywood actresses and actors. 20 years on, mid-1930s, he's still got that indebtedness to the giants of the early Renaissance. Just shows how some artists, once their head has been turned in a particular poetic or creative direction, carry it through life. To all of you in isolation, we will be returning with a little bit of artistic solace again soon.